Oh, ready to rumble.
I know. Do you think any of the three of us will be up at midnight?
You know, I don't know. I don't have my little guy, so I'd probably be right here, posted up, ready to go get him tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
Well, tomorrow we got Ian coming in hot at regular show time. So we always stay up past midnight because they always do. There's always a lot of fireworks going on in our neighborhood and people banging pans and that kind of thing. And
banging pans.
Tina loves to get outside and listen to the fireworks and all that. So it usually goes on for about 45 minutes after midnight.
After midnight, we gonna let it all hang out.
And then it'll be time to hit the hay. Got a big day tomorrow with Ian Rude. Stoked. Yeah. I can't wait to hear what the Voltinator has to say tomorrow about, just all of this electrical stuff. Our body is an electrical being, and he's going to be going really deep into it tomorrow. So yeah, I've been looking forward to this for quite some time.
Well, I gotta try and tune in. I haven't been able to catch his stuff, and 7:45 tomorrow might be a little early because I know Liz wants to go out tonight, but maybe I can catch the replay.
Yeah, there will definitely be a replay, and I'll be getting it up there. And so, yeah, brother, what a great way to end the decade and launch ourselves into the year of perfect vision, 2020, baby.
For sure.
And so I'm excited to have you here this morning. And, you're one of those people that always just adds so much value to everything that it's just an incredible blessing to have you here, man. I can't appreciate it.
Is Sean going to be coming to Vegas?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Me? Yeah.
Oh, okay,
I'm
perfect.
going to make it happen one way or the other. I might end up hitchhiking again and doing
Today's your last day to get your discounted ticket.
Yeah, I wasn't so worried about the tickets as, they go up $30. That's not the end of the world, but I was kind of, I do want to stay where everybody's staying. It's kind of nice to be in there and see everybody and stuff. So I was, but it sounds like they got lots of rooms.
Yeah, I got to get a hold of them today. After we're done, that's going to be one of my first phone calls is to get a hold of them and find out what the deal is with that. Why I didn't get the Enagic discounted rates. So
for sure,
because
if they tell you, oh, we put you on the 30th floor, go, well, I'm okay being on the 5th floor. Why don't you move that back down a little bit?
Yeah, I definitely need to find out that because. If everybody else is getting those lower prices, that'd sure be nice if I could get them too.
Well, what did they charge you for the first night?
I don't remember what it was per night. I just remember that the grand total was like 700 and
well, they would have
$40 or 700.
They should have charged your card for the first night, so maybe you can look, after you're done. But because they don't charge you for the stay, but they do charge you for the very first night.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that. My goal is to be to 6A in time so that I get to go up on stage.
Right on.
Where are you at? You at 5A, J. John?
No, I'm my next sale underneath my Yukon, I'll put that to a 4A. And then
beautiful.
And then I'm at a 1A on my main position.
Oh, yeah, you'll get it, dude. Things will get jiggy.
So you're getting paid 5 then?
Yeah, so I'm going to need to put a sale underneath that position so that I can ramp up. Because I think in order for me to go up to the next level, for right now I'm at 3A. If I want to get up to 4A, I have to do a personal sale. It can't be a sale from one of my people. It's got to be from me.
Yeah, and you don't want to leave that top position as a 1 forever, man. Because all you really need to do is get, the 2 directs up top, and you can be up, 4 or 5 up there, but you can't leave it at 1. So,
yeah. Well, right now, this is the part that I'm confused about. Is that in my top position, I'm at 1A, and if it seems to me that if I put another direct sale underneath that number one position, then doesn't that amp that up to the same as what my UCOM position is?
You have to have two. You have to have two down below. I mean, you have to have two up top, two directs, and then you have to have that third direct to push you out. So you need, it sounds to me like you need two directs up top, but with the problem you run into with that is it's a huge sacrifice for you, because right now, if you can get a sale, you need those 5 points. You can't forego 4 points. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the problem is, you know, eventually you do want that top position to catch up, but you know, where is that going to be? You know, when is there ever a good time in life to not take 4 points? That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm gonna end up having to do it at some point. But I think, because I know I've got two sales up there, two direct sales up there in that position. That's why it's at a 1A. And so,
well, let me ask you this: are the two direct sales that you're talking about? Is it one underneath the other, or are they two direct from the top?
I believe they're two direct from the top.
Well, then really you should be good to go. You just need one more to take that out to 2, and then it'll balloon up from there. So you're really, and so that's a good thing too. So you're not really sacrificing 4, you're sacrificing 3, and you only have to do it once.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can get Tim to get online with me and show me because I think he has something that allows him to see all of his genealogy and everybody where they're at, because he's always telling me where I'm at. And I don't know how the heck he does it. I saw a thing on my genealogy, but I don't understand it at all. I don't understand anything that it says.
Yeah, you really need the bubble tree ones for it to make sense.
Yeah. So I'm gonna.
How do you go about getting those again? I mean, you?
You know, the people that have access to the bubble tree are the ones that have the EPA cards. So if you have an upline somewhere up the line that has one of those, I mean, you know, and Ad's just not going to want me to say it, but I've never really seen the value in having that card unless you're flying to Japan once a year. So I you know, unless there's something I'm missing about it, I haven't seen any reason to, you know, and obviously, you know, spending, you know, a couple $1,000 so you have access to a bubble tree, I mean, hasn't been worth it for me at this point.
No. Because I get my genealogy just normally every once in a while. It didn't have any diagram, but now that they're charging $100 for one, I just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you need to find a 6A22 or 23 that's carrying that EPA card, and they can pull it, you know.
So Dan, I had an interesting conversation yesterday with the service department.
Oh, cool. What they have to say?
I've had a question, because when you clean the K8, when you do the cleaning,
mm-hmm.
It after it's done its 3-hour cleaning, it tells you to, you know, remove the bottom plug, and then it tells you to remove the cartridge and replace the filter. And then the next step is to flush it for 300 seconds. And I've never done that, because I'm like, I don't understand why the heck it's telling you to put the filter back in before you flush the system. Because if you put the filter back in and then flush the system, what you're doing is you're flushing a bunch of citric acid water through your filter. And so I asked Enagic about that, and they said, the guy I talked to said, wow, that's interesting. It shouldn't be saying that. And I go, well, that's what it says. You know? And I go, I'm one of those kinds of people that I don't just listen to everything that I'm told, especially if it doesn't make sense. And in that particular case, it's like, that just doesn't make sense to me to be flushing a bunch of citric. I asked him, if I put my filter back in and flush it, isn't that going to flush citric acid water through my filter? And he says, yeah. And I said, well, what the heck? Why is it telling people to do that? Does yours say that too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the other thing is, not to mention the fact that why would you just flush, you know, 6 or 8 gallons of unusable water through your filter? I mean, when you can you can flush it with the little knob, the cleaning knob. I always do that. and then put my filter back in. I've never listened to them from day one just because it didn't make any sense. I'm like, if I'm just flushing water, why am I just wasting my filter? That's how I looked at it.
Well, sometimes I'll tell you, because I know that with my SD501, I learned from let's see, it's Apple and can't remember his first name all of a sudden, but his last name is Matsushima, and he's a long time Enagic distributor, and I met him down in Vegas a couple of years ago after one of Fred Brown's events over at the Las Vegas Water Store, and he was telling me that he teaches all of his people that they don't need to replace their filter necessarily right out of the chute when it tells them to replace it. He says, my people average 3 to 4 resets per filter. And he said the two ways you can determine whether it's time really to replace your filter or not is, and this is the reason why I ended up investing in an ORP meter originally, is because of him telling me that you can, when it tells you to replace your filter, you hit the reset button, and then the first thing you do is you test for chlorine. And if you've got chlorine in your water, then it means you need to replace your filter. If you don't have any chlorine in your water, then you just hit that reset button, and you don't need to replace your filter yet. Now, if you're somebody like me that doesn't have any chlorine in your water, then that part of the test is invalid. But he said that's where your ORP meter comes in, because then what you do is you run some 11.5 water and some 2.5 water, and you run your ORP meter back and forth between the two. And if you're not getting like about a positive 1,000 to a positive 1,100 on the 2.5 side, and then like a negative 8 to 800 or so on the other side, then you need to replace your filter. And so that's what I've been doing. And for my SD501, for the first 2 years that we used it, I got a year and a month out of both of my filters before I replaced them. And it started screaming at me at about 8 months.
So let me ask you this though. Did you measure the ORP before you changed the filter and after you put in the new one?
Yeah.
And what was the difference?
The difference was a couple 100 points.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you this: for $6.50 a month, is it worth it to be drinking minus 200 different water? It's not to me. I mean, it's just. I mean, I get it if you're really watching stuff, but I mean, I'm one of those people. I mean, I bought this machine so I could take care of my body and have the best water in the world. And if I'm drinking minus 300 when I can be drinking minus 520, all because I'm trying to make $100 filter last an extra 40 days, I'm just not that kind of person. But I'm not telling anybody not to or what to do, but just to me, that's not. I don't feel like I'm cheating anybody but myself trying to do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a really good point. And
I mean, come on, brother. Let's break down filters go on sale for $100. The filter, if you're working it on a 12-month life cycle, I mean, what are we talking about? We're talking about $7.50, $8 a month for your health. I'm not going to lower my antioxidants by half for an extra $2 a month.
Right.
I mean,
and yeah, with my machine average, my SD501 averages over a negative 800 on my 9.5.
Mm-hmm.
Because of my water supply. I have such an incredible water supply coming into my house that, my water comes off the mountains or right here next to the house, goes down into a deep well aquifer, and then gets pumped up into my house, and it doesn't get anything put into it, nothing. It just leaches out a lot of natural minerals that it's just, I get such a high ORP. But yeah, I never really thought of it that way. And so I guess I should be looking at it a little bit differently.
Well, and the other thing is let me see. So, I mean, if a filter on sale lasts you a year, you're talking about $8.33 a month. So to stretch it out a month or two for I mean, I don't know, it's just not worth $2 to me. But the other point is, you got to remember too, that other people aren't in the same situation as yours. And when that filter does go bad from chlorine and contaminants and things like that, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there, man. I mean, I feel mine when it's time to go, and dude, it's heavy, and they're done. You know what I mean? And like, you don't have chlorine, but if I did my house right now and showed it to you, it looks like a draft beer. I mean, it's orangish brownish. And so, the thing is, and with mine, it'll go up 250, 300 just changing the filter when it tells me to. I couldn't imagine letting it go for another 30 or 40 days. And I'm just, why would I?
Yeah.
It's been my understanding that, the NSF makes you claim half of what your filter's been tested to do. And this was even back in the days, like with a couple previous companies, I can't remember what that one was, but Filtration was one of their deals, and it was pretty big in the late 80s, early 90s. I remember a bunch of old vets used to do it. But if your filter says 3,000, the NSF says you have to claim it at 1,500 flow capacity for it to do it.
Yeah.
And so in my estimation, with that thinking, I hit reset and let the other 1,500 gallons go before I do it. And again, I'm like you, Jay John. I'm up here on a bench. I've got an aquifer from the Sapphire Mountains. This water is unadulterated and delicious. In and of itself, it tests at like a 7.5.
Yeah.
But isn't that the truth? Have you guys heard that? I mean, I've been operating on that premise for 11 years.
I have heard that about the NSF too myself, but hold on, I'm just going to show you guys something really quick as far as like what's going on at my house. So. I mean, I haven't even got the tester going in there for 3 seconds, and look at that.
Yuck.
Yeah, that's some gnarly ass amount of chlorine you got there, brother.
Oh, and it hasn't even started. I mean, it'll get darker and darker and darker, but look at that. I mean, I just ran the water.
Yikes.
It looks like a beer. So, when mine say they're done, I mean, I'll check, like with mine, with the Inespa, Liz is amazing. Her skin is so sensitive. She'll tell me, hey, you know what? I think the filter spa is done. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'll write, I have it written down somewhere. I'm like, what do you mean? We just replaced it 8.5 months ago. And she goes, my skin doesn't feel the same the last week. I've been meaning to say something. I'll put drops in there, man, and there's chlorine. And so I kind of use her as my gauge. But look at this now. Look at this now.
Wow.
I mean,
yeah, that's brutal stuff. That's one of those things that after reading Bob Wright's book and that chapter about chlorine and fluoride, I've got a whole new thought process about chlorine and fluoride,
Yeah, how'd you like to make your coffee with this? Filter this through your brain first thing in the morning. Yeah, that's gotta help with the old cognitive, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Once you learn just how poisonous chlorine and fluoride are for you, it's really quite hideous that they put that crap in our water. I call it legalized genocide, because literally that's what they're doing. They're killing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people every year.
Nice and
just
slow,
by
though.
putting that poison in our water, and people don't even realize it. And it's creating, when we look at what a drain, just something like cancer is on our system, because now we're in a situation where everybody has either insurance companies or the government that's paying for their healthcare costs, or at least big portions of it or whatever. And, when you look at the amount of money that it's costing our system, it's absolutely what's the deal? It's something like every cancer patient is worth like $300,000 to the established, to the cancer industry.
Yeah,
no wonder they want to keep you sick.
I don't know
my understanding.
I don't know the specific costs on cancer, but I was reading a thing about the healthcare system in America, and they released the next decade's estimates for 2020 through 2029. and they have it estimated at $45 to $49 trillion. So think about that. We're going to $4 to $5 trillion a year on a system that essentially doesn't really work to prevent anything, just simply manages your pain or your discomfort or your disease once you come in and find out you have it. So it's a very, 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 very expensive way to, for people to really essentially stay sick.
Yeah.
Very sad.
Yeah, when we had Janine Janicelli on the show last Friday, she was talking about her trip down to the Hope for Cancer Center, and she was one of the few people that goes down there that didn't have any radiation, any chemotherapy, none of that stuff, no surgeries. Most of the people that were down there, they already had gone through the rounds of all the allopathic system. And she gave one person as an example, and that person had spent like about $400,000 on their treatments up here, and as a last ditch effort, they went down to the Hope for Cancer Center, and now they're recovering and coming out of it by utilizing the naturopathic method. And
that ain't cheap either, though.
Yeah, and the thing is, that's what's so amazing about it is most of the people, like when you look at Bob Wright's situation with the American Anti-Cancer Institute, they've helped over 10,000 people win their battle with cancer, and like 95% of those people came to this protocol after they were written off for dead by the allopathic world. Okay, sorry, we did everything we could do. You're gonna die now. Go die. And then as a last ditch effort, they turned to his protocols, and over 10,000 people in the last 12 years they've helped actually win their battle. And we happen to know one of those guys in Bill Powers. He was written off for dead. Go die. God bless him that his hospice nurse was a Kangen water distributor. Saved his life. And so, yeah.
I've seen the pictures of that guy. I've seen his pictures and stuff. I've never met him.
So Dan, I want to talk some business, man. What kind of business talk do we have for the kids what do we have to talk about business wise today? What can people think about and work on and whatever, what are your thoughts about what's coming up here in the year 2020, the year of perfect vision? Let's give people some insight.
Well, I think what's cool is, first of all, going into 2020, what everybody has to think about. I think a lot of people will get, regardless of how passionate they are about the water or how much they know that it's been beneficial in their own lives, they get a little bit leery. They're out there talking to people about water, and people don't really understand, and people are going, hey, I drink tap water and I'm doing just fine, but they're a type 2 diabetic with cholesterol issues and this, that, and the other, and it's very, very hard to make people understand the power of Kangen water without getting them to consume it for at least somewhat of a period of time, or getting them to look at some kind of demonstration. But something, and I don't know how it is out your guys' way, but something I can seriously say about out this way is, the awareness of Enagic really is growing, and, the difference in, the awareness of the project 4 years ago from when I started to now has grown exponentially. I mean, people are really starting to, oh, is that thing I've seen on Facebook? Or, oh, I keep seeing that on Instagram. Is it as good as they say it is? Or I've got a friend that swears by it. I mean, you're really starting to hear a lot of that out here. And I think, I think it's one of those inevitable situations in, 2020 and the years to come after that of, they're going to hear about Kangen water. They might as well hear about it from you, right? Because that awareness is growing every day. And like I said, I mean, I do a deal every 4 to 6 weeks of somebody that's 2, 3, 4 years old now. But, the only difference between me and 99% of the people that own a Kangen machine is I just don't ever stop talking about it. Right. So what I think is for those that are, a 1, 2, or a 3A and maybe have had their machine for a while, this is really a time to get plugged in, get plugged into stuff like this, get onto Daniel D. McCauley's, once a month webinar, find a local event. If you can't find a local event, create a local event and just get plugged in, because it's not even so much about, 2020, but it's about what the next 1 to 3 to 5 years is going to be like for Enagic. And I'm telling you, the numbers speak for itself. It's we're going to sell more machines in the next 5 to 7 years than we have in the previous 47. That's a fact.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I know I'm excited to be part of it. I know I'm really excited to be part of it. And I'm, I always tell people they need to put on their flight suit and jump off the cliff with us.
Well, and that's really the sad thing is why should it be dropping off a cliff to go from $6 a gallon from bottled water to 17 cents in the comfort of your own house, to throwing away 4 to 5 plastic bottles a day, to never throwing one again. It's like having a conversation about somebody who's standing there holding a landline and you're showing them an iPhone 11 going, this thing has 1,000 uses. This will make your life easier, better. You'll exponentially love yourself after you put this in your hand, and they're standing there clutching a landline, standing next to the wall going, but I have a phone, you can't, it's like, I don't know. It's the saying is it's tough to fix stupid, right? But the thing is we have to educate and let them know. But the thing is, if people knew the old belief that they're hanging on to and really what was waiting for them, they, like I, are going to realize this is the biggest no-brainer in history. It's just a question of what is it going to take for them to actually sit and look at the value.
Right.
Amen.
Right.
But like you said, it's coming. I think
it is.
Just availability. The presence that it's starting to establish on a global, nation, statewide level. Again, I'm in Montana. We barely got 1 million people, but I swear to goodness, I think there's a good $100,000 a year earners that have yet to be identified yet.
Sure, for sure. And, and it's funny, like yesterday, they asked me, I was about to leave the office. I processed some machines. I was about to leave the office, and they said, can you help? Can you help? And this massive truck had pulled up in front of the office, and I was like, what do you need help with? Well, you got to understand the normal deliveries for the office come by UPS, and it's just a little corner of the back of the truck. And we've been back ordered so tough in that Seattle office that they actually had to rent a specialized truck. And this dude went in and he brought off 3 massive pallets of SD 501s, Platinums, and K8s, and then had to do 2 separate pallets for all the solution and the bottles and the this and the that. And it's just, I've been seeing them deliver machines at that office for a long time, and I've never seen them use anything other than a UPS truck. And they were telling me that this is only the second time in the 3 years of that office that we've had so many machines on back order. It's funny, you can actually look in the back of the office and you can see the whole wall lined with machines. And when you look back there yesterday, there was 40 machines on the floor with paperwork sitting on top of all of them. All the machines were already spoken for. And those machines were bought and paid for and just haven't been picked up. Those have nothing to do with the pallet that I was talking about getting dropped off. And when I went to take so I think there's 6 K8s in each box or something like that. When we got down to the last 4 boxes of K8s, I was about to push them into the back, and she goes, no, these are all bought and paid for. These 24 are already sold. So let's just leave them here. It's just amazing. You don't really think about it. Like I said, especially you guys, because you're out there and you're not really seeing it. But I'm just telling you, man, you walk into that office. I was in there, what was yesterday, a Monday? I'm in there on a Monday at 11 a.m. and there was 10, 12, 14 people in there. It's just, Tara, I think Tara was in there a couple weeks ago, and, lots of activity. The office is just buzzing and humming. And, I chat with this guy on Facebook who's over in India. And, this guy didn't even have a machine 4 years ago, and he's a -4 right now. And he had private messaged me the other day, and his team And think about this guy, didn't even own a machine 4 years ago. His team, for the first time in history, did 1,000 units this month.
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, when I say jump off a cliff, I'm not saying jump off a cliff. I'm saying make sure you put that flight suit on first, because we're going for a ride, baby.
Yeah,
We're going for a journey and a flight. We're not jumping and falling to the ground. We're taking off, baby.
It's like get off the cliff so you can get out of the way of that boulder that you're trying to roll uphill when it comes back and hits you in the head. You know, I mean, get out of your own way, man. Get out of your own way. I mean, you know, especially, you know, like out, you know, and out here, I think it's probably a little bit more than maybe out there. I'm being assumptive and I probably shouldn't be, but, you know, so you have the situation where the people that are paying per bottled water, it's so very expensive now, but also the plastic's becoming a huge situation out here. I mean, you got petitions every time you walk into a store now. There's people standing out and you know, in front of the thing, sign this so there's no more plastic bottles. Sign this. So, I mean, everybody's crying out for the answer, brother. They just don't know the answer's us. They don't know that we're out there.
Right.
I mean, if you could sit and have a logical conversation with 90% of the people that drink bottled water and show them that they're already spending more money for their water than they are for the gasoline in their car, it's not that hard of a conversion. It's just 90% of the people don't know we're the answer. They don't even know we're the option.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Dan, I got a question for you. Because what you just said brought something to my mind that, or I should say to my brain cell. I only have one brain cell. Everybody else has like trillions of them. I only have one. But
keep drinking the water.
So my buddy lives in Grand Junction. I've been working on him for quite some time. He was one of the first antagonists when I first got involved with this, because he's a scientist. You know, he's got a degree in biology or chemistry or whatever. He was studying to be a veterinarian, and you know, right from the beginning, he started, you know, just telling me how full of crap I was and that kind of thing. But here we are going on 3 years later, and I'm still doing it and everything. And so I ended up actually going on a river trip with him back in the spring, and he did a little too much drinking in the days leading up to the trip. And he showed up to the put-in that night, and he was okay. But then when he went to bed, he said, when we woke up in the morning, he was like, yeah, man, I spent the whole night throwing up and puking and coming out both ends and that kind of stuff, and I'm just sicker than hell. And I told him, dude, I've got what you need. Where's your water bottle? And I grabbed the water bottle, and he goes, I can't drink any water. I go, this isn't water. This is Kong. And I told him, I grabbed him some fresh Kong's water that I had brought for the trip, and I said, take this and drink it. And he drank it, and it stayed down. And he actually admitted to me a couple months later that it really made a huge difference, and he actually felt a difference. But I can't get him to pull the trigger. And one of the reasons, you know, something he said to me, and I'm sure that you've probably heard this a lot, and this is why I'm asking you, you know, what do you say to these kinds of people that have this kind of a excuse? And that is, well, you know, I'm interested in the water, but, you know, I'm not a salesman. And I'm probably going to get one of these things down the road, but I can tell you right now, I'm not going to be selling any of these machines to anybody. I'm just not a salesman, and neither is Pam, and blah, 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 you know. And I never got a chance to finish the conversation with him because we had to go. But, you know, what do you say to that when somebody says, oh, I'm not a salesman?
I'd say it's interesting because, you know, that's what I told myself when I bought mine. It's exactly what I told the guy that sold it to me. I go, just know that, you know, I'm pretty secure in my life. I got a great job. I do pretty well. And the last thing I ever intend to do is talk to anybody about water. So just so you know.
Right? Well, can I add to that? I mean, look,
please.
We're not trying to sell anything, but again, it goes back to the old premise that, hey, I ate at this restaurant. I had this steak. I saw this movie. I went here and I bought this and it was awesome. And this,
right.
We're selling stuff without even trying to sell it in terms of just sharing it with people.
Well, and
yet so many people just shut themselves down and they don't give themselves the benefit of the doubt just in being able to communicate simple hey, this is what happened to me. This is what I'm dealing with. You should check it out. This movie was awesome. You'll like it. Check it out.
And JJ, more, and that was kind of my tongue-in-cheek answer, but the thing is, because that is what I said, but here's really what I say. I say to people, I go, yeah, but let me ask you something. So when we were on that river trip, you've always been really, really kind of against this thing. You've kind of always had the Heisman stiff arm out. Now imagine this. You put it in your water, and even you said you felt amazing. And I just want you to understand something. When you drink this water out of a jug, it's about 1/6 of the potential of the healing properties and the benefits that it is of having your own machine in your house. So let's fast forward. Let's say you get out of your own way, you quit tripping over your own self, and you decide that you want to wake up and feel that amazing every single day. And this happens to be in your life. And just from kind of being in the community or whatever you're going through, maybe some arthritic issues go away, this, that, and the other. But let me ask you this. You don't want to be a salesman, and I completely understand how you feel. I felt the exact same way. But here's what I found out. The next time I heard somebody complaining about horrific acid reflux at work, I go, hey, you might want to try this. I mean, I don't know. I got mine for my cholesterol, but I did hear it helps for that. And he drinks the stuff for 3 days and goes, dude, my acid reflux hasn't ever been contained like this since I was 11 years old. And you go, yeah, I mean, it might have something to do with that. And they keep drinking. I mean, when the guy says to you, hey, this is the answer I've been looking for. How do I get one of these? Are you not going to help him?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so the thing is, it's not about being a salesman. It's about sharing something. And why, or let's take the other end of the spectrum. If you've got a friend who's like, yeah, I feel a lot better. I've been drinking this Essentia, and you go, well, hey, dude, how would you like to go from $9.73 a gallon at the store to 17 cents a gallon in the benefit of your own home? And by the way, I can cut your costs by 300%. How would you feel about that? I mean, it's just, it's not about you selling anything. It's about you sharing the information, I mean, if when people, the thing is you can't walk down the street in America or have a conversation with a friend if you're over the age of 40 years old and not hear somebody talking about being sick or, oh, I've got this, or my poor wife's got that, or, oh my God, she's got the migraines again. I mean, the opportunity, I mean, you don't have to be Slick Willie. You just have to be there when they're talking about something to say, oh, you know what? I had a friend that, kind of was going through the same thing, and I shared some of this. You may want to try it. Oh, no, I'm okay. Okay, great. They're okay. But, you don't have to be a neurosurgeon to share this with a few people and not be pushing other people,
Yeah. That's the same thing I said when I got my machine. That was one of my big mistakes. I've been pretty vocal about this as of late, that was a huge, huge mistake to not be interested in the business right from the start. It literally cost me about $60,000. And so I try to tell people that exact same thing. I know how you feel. I felt the same way. And what I found out is that I cost myself a ton of money by not being interested in the business.
But here's the thing is that, so many people that have come across this with me have started off the same way. Dan, I get it, but you just got to know I'm probably going to get one for myself, but I really can't be the kind of person that shares. I don't have the time. I don't have this. I don't have that. I couldn't even tell you how many of those people, now they don't do the business full time or anything, but I can't tell you how many of those people have done 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 machines. I mean, just from exactly what I had talked about. It's like, hey, if you had a brother-in-law who's got high blood pressure, I mean, you're not going to let him suffer needlessly. I mean, my buddy, the type 2 diabetic, who they were going to take his foot in January, what was I going to do? Just not say anything? And even when I did, he wouldn't listen. But when they scheduled him for a surgery, he called me back and, had an amazing result,
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about that. I know the water is the only thing he changed. I know he lost 42 pounds in 52 days. I know his A1C levels went from 13.2 to 6.3, and the only thing he changed was his water. But I don't know if it was the water, but he's pretty convinced it is.
Yeah, one of my buddies, one of my old friends, he bought a machine earlier in the, like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and he started sharing water with a friend of his who's a diabetic, and he's now lost like 20 pounds. And he finally decided to buy a machine because he was tired of coming over and getting water. And so he's supposed to get his machine like today or tomorrow or something, or, you know, hopefully it'll come in today. It was supposed to come in on Saturday. And
the interesting thing about this water with type 2 diabetics, and I know we're not supposed to say anything about the machine or the water, and I'm just saying, out of the last 20 type 2 diabetics I've given it to that have told me personally, the only thing I changed was my water. They've all had ridiculous through the roof results. I'm not talking about like improvement. I'm talking about like insane results. And I ask them specifically, so what else did you change? Nothing. How much diet did you change? Nothing. How much exercise? I don't exercise.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Exactly. It shows you the key to what proper hydration really can do for the body.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, without like making any claim, it's like, look, if you properly hydrate yourself, your body's going to do things that it hasn't done before.
Well, you know, and people have gotten this idea because of man-made marketing that, you know, Gatorade or a LaCroix or a Pellegrino or a Coca-Cola is some kind of substitute for hydration. You know, I say to people all the time, you know, do you drink a lot of fluids? They're like, oh yeah, I drink like six of these Red Bulls a day. Well, but see, it's just people don't even have the basic information. It's like, okay, so, you know, you wouldn't put battery acid in a Ferrari, or you wouldn't put, you know, why would you put that in your own temple? You know what I'm saying? They don't even have the basic knowledge of, you know, if you look back, you know, 700 years ago, nobody was walking around with a Pellegrino, you know, I mean, it's just, we were intended to have a lot of water in our body. We're made mostly of water. It would only make sense to have the best water we can. This probably is not what they had in mind. Right?
Exactly.
This is probably not what they had in mind when they said, you know, when it's amazing what happens when you take this water out of people. Just the cognitive alone, dude, just the cognitive alone is off the charts, you know, because your body, your brain has to filter this before it does anything else. Right. I mean, that makes sense. We're not talking about something so outlandish to believe here. I mean, it's just, you know, your brain is 83% water, and you want to start your day with that.
Yeah.
You know, you can buy an ionizer or you can be a filter, but one way or the other, that stuff's got to go somewhere.
Yeah. That's like what Sam says. You can either buy a filter or be the filter.
Right.
Your choice.
Exactly. You know, but people just don't realize in how many ways they are choosing to be the filter. And it's because I think people have really fallen under the belief that they don't truly understand how good anymore that their body was designed to feel, because, you know, we get beat down and we get in these, you know, relationships and a job we don't like, and we're sitting in traffic. And I mean, there's no abundance, right? And the thing is, I think they just fall into this belief that, you know, feeling is just okay. It's just fine with me. You know, that's as good as it gets for me. And people just don't remember how good their bodies are designed to feel.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of those AT&T commercials that you're seeing these days that are like, oh yeah, he's okay. You know, the doctor comes walking in and he's like, guess who just got reinstated? Yeah, you know, we'll work through it.
I'm kind of nervous. Me too.
Yeah, you'll see the post of somebody in Facebook going, you know, last day of chemo, and they're going like this, and then on the nightstand next to them in their bed while they're laying in bed is a Sprite. Well, you know what? Good luck with that. Because I'll tell you what, when your next day of chemo is not that far off, come on.
Yeah.
I was just reading a thing today on pancreatic cancer. You have an 8% chance. 8%. You know what? But if you walk into a doctor's office, they're going to tell you, let's do this, 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 and this. I'm not spending $300,000 for an 8% chance, brother.
No way.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not putting my family in debt for the next 10 years for 8%.
You know, Dan, I love the way you think, man. I love the fact that you're a numbers guy, because you always throw out the greatest numbers, and it's just powerful stuff. And, you know, maybe you could just kind of give people a little bit of an analogy, because just a few minutes ago you said, you know, you're spending $9 a gallon for your water. Explain to people how you're coming up with that number.
Well, you know, so You know, it really depends on what you're drinking. But the thing is obviously, you know, if you you know, most of the times I'll say to people, I'll go, hey, so that bottle of Aquafina you brought, because I always tell people when I'm doing a demo, hey, if I'm coming to your house or you're coming to me, I'm going to show you lots of things, but I need you to bring with me what you're currently hydrating with. That's very important, because to show them this, that, and the other is one thing. To show them exactly what they're putting in their body is another. So let's say hypothetically you come to my house and I say, hey, JJ, so where'd you get that Aquafina? Oh, I stopped and got it at the AMPM because I remembered you wanted me to bring it. Hey, terrific. How many ounce bottle is that? 16. What'd you pay for it? 99 cents. Okay. Well, I usually buy it in a little bit more bulk. Okay, so let's round it off. What do you think you pay? I don't know, 60 cents. Okay, well, 16 of those, right? It's going to take about 8 of those to make a gallon. 8 times 70 cents is $5.50. That's before tax. So we're looking at $6. So even when somebody's buying a pretty basic bottled water, if they do some very, very simple math, they're going to find out very quickly. And you'll also find that 99% of them never, ever, ever do the math, because they'll go, oh, I didn't really realize that. They're going to be somewhere between $3.50 and about $12 a gallon. Now, even if somebody goes to Costco and buys Essentia in pretty good size bulk, I mean, real bulk numbers, you're going to find they're somewhere in that $6.50 to $8 a gallon range.
Wow. That, you know, and you extrapolate that out over a lifetime.
Well, and the problem is
talking
people,
about.
Oh, go ahead.
Dan.
One more second, Sean. Let me just throw this in. And you know what I tell people? I go, listen, what you don't understand, all the stuff I'm showing you, you're already spending the money. You're just not getting any of the benefits. And I haven't even showed you the 500 other things the machine does.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm just asking you to get out of your own way. You're already spending the money. Forget about the tax benefits. Forget about the plastic you're throwing out. Forget about the chemicals in your home. Forget about the laundry detergent. Forget about this. Forget about the fact that your kids are going to get sick less often. Forget about the fact that antioxidants are amazing for you. You're already spending the money. If we were just talking apples to apples, my clean water button with no antioxidants against what you're already doing, all I'm trying to do is take you from $4.50 to 17 cents a gallon. If I came up to you and said, hey, Sean, what's your iPhone 11 cost you? Well, it's $139 a month. Well, hey, you know what? What if I could give you the exact same, forget about the fact that I can give you a phone that's 43 times better. What if I could just give you the same phone and just, you pay up front, but it's a one-time deal and you never pay again. And that same phone that's $139 a month, I can get it here for $15.
Yeah.
1,000 people would say yes.
Yeah.
You know, what if I came to your house today, JJ, and you said to me, and I said to you, JJ, how much money do you got? And you go, man, I'm kind of down on my luck. I don't have it right now. And I go, that's too bad, because here's what I have. I have a gas card right here. And the crazy thing about this card is you can give it to your wife, your brother, your friends, yourself. You can use it every single day. You can fill up as much crap as you want. And this gas card's $4,300. The only problem is I need the money from you in the next 24 hours, or I'm going to sell it to somebody else. You'd mortgage your life to buy that card.
Right.
Thinking about it.
Yeah.
Without even thinking about it. And what the hell does gas give you? You're just sitting in traffic like a zombie. It's the same analogy for the water. You can help so many people. It's endless. You never purchase again. It's just, you have to put it in terms to people that they'll actually grasp and understand, because you know what throws them off? The word water.
Yeah, isn't that crazy, considering it's the most important, and the not only is it the most important, but it's the most abundant part of the body.
If you ran down that analogy of the gas card against 100 human beings randomly, 98 of them would purchase within 12 hours. They'd go home and go, honey, you don't even understand. There's this guy selling this gas card at the mall. We have 12 hours to make a decision. It's $4,000, but we get free gas for the rest of our life. Well, what are you doing? Go buy it.
Yeah, I love that analogy, man. You see, kids, do you see why we love Mr. Dan Edland? He always has such great ways of looking at things. What a way to end the decade.
I just try and bring common sense into the equation. And that's what I always go back to is wrap your head around the fact you're already spending the money.
Right.
I made an interesting analogy last week, and I'm not going to say exactly how much, but here's what I'm going to say. And Sean, I think you'll appreciate this. If you went to somebody and said, JJ, Sean, the day that Amazon.com went public, all the people were talking about Bezos being a nut job. Who wants to buy a book through the mail? Nobody's going to order anything through the mail. People want to see stuff. They want to touch it. And I go to you, yeah, but you know what, JJ? I had the vision. I was a super smart guy. I didn't realize how smart I was at the time, but I took $5,000 and I bought Amazon stock the day that it went public in 1997. And if I told 100 people that, they'd be sitting there going, oh my God, you're a genius. That's amazing, right? That's smart, right, JJ?
Yeah.
I mean, you're a visionary, Dan. That's amazing that you saw the vision. Okay, well, here's an interesting stat. If I bought $5,000 worth of Amazon stock in 1997, the day it went public, I would have roughly a 9,289% return on my money over 22 years. I've had a 9,100% return on my Kongan machine in less than 4.
Wow.
Good grief.
So if somebody says to me, well, hey, I go, yeah, only about 6 times better than owning Amazon stock. I guess I'm doing all right. And I'm not saying that personally, like for money. I'm just saying when you take the analogy of what's spent to what comes in, I mean, how is this not the biggest no-brainer in history? Yeah. I mean, if you're out there looking for a lifeline, man, you quit, tying a rock to your leg and just, like I said, get out of your way and just take 10 minutes and embrace looking at what's offered here. And if you just take the blinders off for 5 seconds and be open at all, you're going to see that this is the biggest no-brainer there is, whether it's your health or the business.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah. I always try to get people, I think you're probably the best at really summing it up, brother, is that I try to tell people consistently and constantly that you got to stop thinking of this as an expense.
Oh my God.
Look at it as an investment. And
if they understood the benefits and they understood the ROI, they'd be drooling on themselves as opposed to sitting there going, yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I've got 800 credit, but I don't know if I can justify $47 a month to change. It's a tank of gas. It's a tank of gas a month.
Yeah.
0% this thing for 15 months. And you know what? Maybe you help 8 people in that 15 months. Maybe you only help 4. But you know what? You're never going to run into anybody with a Konga machine that goes, you know what? I'm so pissed off at JJ. You know what? Only 68% of this machine ended up being free after the first year. What are you talking about?
Yeah, something else. Here's another interesting question for you, Dan. And I'm curious what you think about this because one of my prospects that when I went and did that demo a couple of Fridays ago, one of the prospects that was there, she ended up finding a used SD501 on KSL.com for $1,400. And she went down and bought that little rascal. And and it looks like from all intents and purposes, as far as I can tell, she got a heck of a deal on it. What boggles my mind is that the person.
Well, it's a good news, bad news. Well, it's a good news, bad news scenario because Enagic makes such amazing products. I mean, I see them come into the office 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, and they look like they've been burned down in a fire and beaten to death, and they're still producing a minus 500. So, you can understand when somebody goes and tells them that. But, I go back to analogy. I go, hey, JJ, if you were in the market, your wife's car broke down and you're in the market for a car and you go onto the lot and you look and you go, wow, this thing's pretty interesting, good looking, kind of what I was looking for. Yeah, that's a great car. Well, let me fire it up. You fire it up, you roll down the windows, everything's working. And then you look down and you go, hey, there's no odometer on this thing. How many miles does it have? I don't know. I mean, would you buy a car with no odometer on it?
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't. But the thing is, what I tell people is you got to understand, I mean, hey, let's be honest. Take a guy like me. I got a 4-year-old K8 that I put out 10 to 12 days at a time, 2 to 3 times a month. It goes around, around, and around, and around, and around the circle with all these different users and owners and operators and stuff like that. And trust me, I've made a lot more off that loaner than I've ever paid for it. And, you know, I can turn around tomorrow and go, hey, used K8, 2 Gs. You know, they don't know the history of the machine. And, you know, and it's really sad because it kind of goes back to the business thing that we were talking about too, because a lot of people will plant a flag in the ground and go, yeah, but I'm never going to talk to anybody about water. And never's a really, really, really long time. And it's a very, very permanent statement. And the thing is, when you have this in your life, hey, you know what? You don't know that you're not going to want to take advantage of the tax benefits. You don't know that you're not going to want to help somebody down the road. You really don't know what the next 3, 5, 7, 9 years of your life is going to bring, or what's going to happen in your family as far as people that may need this or need access to it. You know, so why would you close that door forever? I mean, you spend a little more, but you know you got the 5-year warranty. You know it works. This, that, and the other. I mean, you know, God love the lady if that's what she had to do. I mean, I get it. Unfortunately, these machines are designed incredibly well, and you know, it's tough to beat the snot out of them, right? But the thing is you know, you're gonna have those every once in a moon, but you know, that's usually where I go is the you know, I wouldn't buy a car without an odometer in it.
Yeah. Well, one thing, I'll just to put this out there for everybody that's on the live side that's hearing this, and by the way, Scotty Wood, Sean Rice, Paul Nelson, Stephanie Picklesheimer, Michelle, Marie, love you guys. Thanks for being here. I hope you're getting as much value out of this as I am. And but one thing I did say to her when I got the message asking, you know, my opinion and that kind of stuff, and I said, hey, you know, it's number one, you don't get the business, and you don't get the tax write-off, and you don't get any kind of a warranty. But on the plus side, that thing will make a great loaner machine down the road, you know, because if you decide that you want to get into the business, what you're going to have to do is buy another machine.
Right.
And, you know, and
I've definitely used that route too and said, hey, you know, because once they've already done it, right, it's not like you're going to talk them into 2. So the thing is, you just, you know, you keep them in the fold. Hey, I'm you know, regardless, I'm glad that I was the one that introduced you to this. Perhaps somewhere down the road, the opportunity is going to open up and you're going to want to revisit this. I mean, you know, people's lives change all the time. Their financial lives change all the time. You know, the 48-year-old guy that's killing at his job might 2 years later be going, damn, JJ, now I'm 50 and I got blown out last week and I wasn't expecting that. And nobody's knocking down the door to hire some 50-year-old guy for the money that I was making. You know, people's situations change. So, you know, you just, I mean, in that situation, I mean, all you can do is be there for them, continue to encourage them, and maybe, you know, really once she starts to have her own experience, say, can you see why I really wanted you to possibly, you know, experience this for yourself, but not only share this with others? I mean, once you have this water in your body, it's pretty hard to keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
That's about
you know what,
the best thing you can do.
I want to point another thing out to everybody that's listening in on this, just and have you expand upon it a little bit. You know, this lady who bought that $1,400 machine, she's the gal who was going to buy a machine from some other Kangen water distributor, and back, you know, didn't end up buying the machine for whatever her reason was. And what happened is that the Kangen water distributor, the friend of her daughter, got really pissed off at her for not buying the machine. Like, what? You said you promised, blah, 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 you know. And so that just completely turned this lady off. She's like, hey, if I buy a machine, I'm sure as hell not buying it from you. And so what ended up happening with this machine is I just told her, hey, you know, looks like a good possibility. Here's your pros, here's your cons, you know, and, you know, you got to make a decision. But she was really interested in the concept when I mentioned to her that she could that she'd have to buy another machine down the road if she wanted to get involved with the business side of it. And she was like, yeah, you know, that would be that would be really cool because she is interested. And then as she continued to send me messages and things like that, I just continued to answer her questions with love and support, and, you know, whatever I can do to help you. I ended up telling her maybe, you know, the machine hasn't been used in over a year. I said, maybe you might want to think about giving it a full deep cleaning,
Right.
and that kind of stuff. And I sent her the information. I sent her a video of how to go get an aquarium pump and do her own deep clean.
Sure.
And her machine came with all the stuff. It came with the salt water. Obviously, the lady that had the machine never really used it because all of her stuff was still there. It was all still in the plastic bags and all that kind of stuff. And so I responded with love and support, and she ended up replying back to me, you know, that's so nice of you to be so positive and that kind of thing. And I was just like, hey, it's hard not to be positive when you're around so many positive people and you have such a positive thing going on. How can you not be positive? And so that's how I replied back to that whole situation. And I know you have a method of madness when it comes to this kind of stuff, that maybe you could just repeat that one more time for everybody when it comes to somebody who doesn't buy right out of the chute. This is a big lesson to learn, kids.
And let me speak on your specific situation before I go into that. But the thing is with somebody like that, you know, they buy the machine, they had a good experience from you, a bad experience from somebody else. And, you know, you say, hey, you know, and I'm really sorry you had to go through that. But, you know, the end result is you did find the water, whether you found it or purchased it from me or found it in yourself. And hey, in looking at the decision that you made with everything wrapped in plastic, I mean, you probably did make a good decision. And here's what happens. When they start to have an experience, or she calls you for the first time and says, you know, JJ, I think I have a girlfriend whose husband has da-da-da-da, and I want to share. Do you have a video for this, or you have a video for that? You become that person and that confidant and that mentor that can help her get information. And then when the person turns around and says, you know, she's really having a good experience, or her neighbor's having a good experience and wants to acquire one, you know, a lot of times what I'll say to people is, how much do you love that machine? And they go, oh my God, I couldn't live a day without it. Have you ever tried the spa? Yeah. Let me ask you something. It's the same experience. I mean, you're going to love it as much as you love the machine. Hey, you've already got Sean, you already got the water. Why don't we add the spa? They can always get the spa from you, Sean, and then we're in business. You already got the water to hand out. The spa will give you a business just like anything else, but, you know, you're bringing some extra dimension of value into their life without asking them to also rebuy. Now, of course, there's the other way to go where you can say, hey, terrific. Now what we really want to do is turn that value that you got. Let's get you your own machine, take that one and make it a loaner. But, you know, some people really aren't comfortable with the fact of, you know, one day they don't know how to talk about water, and the next day the idea of having to go in and do a rudimentary install and letting people try the water. I mean, it can be scary to some people. So, you know, some people aren't really that comfortable with going and just installing a machine or, you know, whatever the situation may be. So, but a spa is a good way for somebody to add value to their life that they're immediately going to feel. I mean, trust me, when you're not washing your hair in this, life changes. And
I love that.
That's a great way
Dan.
Yes.
Yeah, Tara, go ahead. I saw that you got your hand up. Why don't you go ahead and
Well, I had a question. If you're buying a used equipment and you don't have a distributor number, how do you get your filters and your saline? And you can't have it deep clean either, can you?
Well, you can get a filter. They just, I mean, there's no reference point to, I mean, of what you need. But if you know, like if you know it's an HGN or something, I mean, you can walk into the office and say, just give me a filter. And when they say, what's your ID number? Say, oh, I'm not worried about that. I just want to buy a filter. They're going to sell you one. Let's be honest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right.
I thought you had to have a distributor number. So I was going to say she might have problems later down the road that way.
No.
Well, one thing in fact, it's interesting you asked this question, Tara, because I just dealt with it yesterday. Because my brother, my next oldest brother, he's the one person in my family who has bought a Kangen machine. And I'm just so thankful that I had that one of our fellow Kong family members sold him a used machine. And I actually suggested he buy it. And I'm so glad that I did, because he really hasn't used it the way he should. Nobody in his family will use it, all that kind of stuff. And I have a feeling that had he bought the machine from me, that he would have ended up wanting to send it back after 21 days. And then that would have been a total pain in the butt and all that kind of stuff. And who knows what kind of riff it would have caused. But anyway, he's been drinking the water and he just called me the other day saying, I need a new filter. My machine's telling me it needs a new filter. And I just found out last night that all you need is a distributor ID number. So if somebody like this gal that bought that machine, I'm just going to give her my Yukon ID number and just tell her, hey, anytime you need a new filter, here's my ID number. You just put this ID number in and then register as a guest online. And you can buy the filter yourself, and I get the credit for it.
And that's for people that are buying online. But I mean, anybody can walk into the Enagic store here in Seattle and go, give me 133 filters, but I don't have an ID number. They're gonna sell them to them.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, very interesting stuff. And
can you take it in and have it deep cleaned too?
They charge you significantly more.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another aspect.
And they will, I'm sorry, JJ, and they will always run that serial number to make sure that the machine hasn't been reported stolen or anything like that. And if it is, and somehow it made your way into your hands fraudulently, they're not going to send it back to you.
Here's another interesting aspect of this that people should understand. When you buy a used machine, you didn't buy it directly from Enagic. If anything ever happens to it down the road, if, after the warranty period, it is no longer, something goes wrong, whatever, God forbid.
Yep.
If you bought the machine directly from Enagic, it ends up costing you like $1,400 to have it completely rebuilt, refurbished, and fixed. Where if you did not buy it from Enagic, it is substantially more expensive if they'll even fix it. Is that correct, Dan?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any firsthand knowledge of people that are like taking in fraudulent machines after the fact. So I don't want to speak on that just because I don't have any firsthand knowledge of it.
I mean, where I got that information from was from Fred Brown at the Kangen Water Store.
He's been around the project a long time. If anybody know, it'd be Fred.
Yeah, and he was saying that it's substantially, triple the cost. You might as well just buy a brand new machine if you didn't buy the machine from Enagic. Where if you did buy the machine from Enagic and something goes wrong with it that needs to be repaired, they repair it for dirt cheap if you bought it from them. And so there's so many advantages to just invest the money and buy the dang thing directly from Enagic versus going out there and getting these used machines. But when people, because if you're involved with this for long enough, you're going to come across this. It's going to happen. And it's good to know what the pros and cons are. So that way you can educate your people and you can just respond out of love and compassion and give them all the information they need. And, if they get a good deal, congratulate them,
Yeah, and really, and when you're talking to people, really try and, like if somebody's sitting there and they're talking about bottled water or something, just really try and break into that cost per gallon conversation, because, you got to understand it's the frog in the pot getting boiled theory. I mean, people just walk into a 7-Eleven and grab an Aquafina and get charged 99 cents. They don't think about it. And then, you know what, when they say to me, they'll go, well, yeah, but Dan, it's tough for me to wrap my head around the fact that they're expensive. And I say, do you know that Nestle charges a 14 to 17,000% markup for a bottle of water? I mean, I would feel insulted if I knew as a human being capable of making decisions that I was paying that kind of profit for something. 15,000%?
Yeah. And they're raping every aquifer they can find.
Absolutely. I mean, and Liz and I, we watch so much stuff on what they're doing and stuff like that. But the thing is just, sometimes I'll turn it around and just kind of be insulted. Like, if I was you and I knew that information and now that you do, don't you feel a little insulted? Yeah. I mean, that that when you go in and spend that 99 cents, it's not costing them a half a penny. I mean, I'd be insulted by that. And the fact that you are spending is, number one, not only is it pure profit, but there's no value. And I've shown you that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, there's a lot of ways to go. It really just, and that's where it really becomes like, the kind of person you're talking to or what their objection is. And, there's so many, right? And there's so many ways to take that depending on what their answer. But, there's a lot of directions to go based on the objection. But, most of the time what you'll find with the people that you're speaking with, the objection is not even real. It's just something that they've come up with in their head. And, if you can take that objection and rationalize it and make it make sense, like if somebody says to me, well, God, it's part of one of those direct sales things. And I'm just, who would ever pay that kind of markup? Oh, 47% as opposed to the 15,800% you're paying now. Right?
Yeah, no doubt. Sean, go ahead, man.
As opposed to the 15 to 18,000% you're paying now, and over the course of 1 year, according to this article I read from Sacramento CBS, and I posted it the other day, you're also ingesting up to 90,000 microplastic particles annually.
Right.
That's been proven.
Sure.
At least in their research here, and at the end of the day, not only are they paying that much more, they're not getting the value financially, but just physically.
Then if you really want to get bad and it's getting heated, that's when you look at their 12-year-old son and say, and see all that estrogen in the bottle? Why do you think he has folded over boobs? See how that conversation goes.
It's true though. Gender bending is a real thing, man.
Dude, ask people. Hey, I'll tell you that right now. Don't think that I haven't pulled that out at a demo before, man.
All right, kids. Well, I got to say something here. We've been in here now for an hour and 15 minutes. And I'll tell you, that's one thing that's so cool about when we get to meet with Dan Edland and we get to meet with people like Sam and it just, an hour and 15 minutes goes by like it's 15 minutes. And but I think it's probably time for us to go ahead and wrap this thing up and get on our way. And what I'd like to do, Dan, is ask you if you wouldn't mind, because this is the last day of the decade.
Wow.
And I would love to, yeah. Hooty-hoo!
I didn't realize. Thank you for asking me to speak on the last show of the decade. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I figured what an incredible way to end this decade, to end, and it's an ending, but it's also a new beginning, and we're really coming into a new year that, we're referring to it a lot. You're going to be hearing this a lot. You're going to be seeing this a lot. The whole 2020 thing. What's perfect vision? It's 2020. And, we're moving into 2020 and the 20s are coming back and all that kind of good stuff. And, Dan, I'd just love it if you would maybe just leave us today with something, whatever you may want to come up with. You're so brilliant. You're always coming up with something great when I ask you to do this kind of thing. So, one last thing for everybody. Any message for moving into the next decade, and here we go. What's the ride going to be?
I'll tell you this. I don't have any words of wisdom about coming into the next decade that I haven't already shared. I mean, I know that the next 3, 5, 7 years for Enagic is going to be absolutely amazing as far as the awareness and things like that. But when you were saying that right now, what I just got in a vision in my head, and hopefully we're all around to see it, and we're all just alive and kicking. But what I would like to do is be the show guest 10 years from now on the last day of that decade. And I would like to go back and look at 2019 to where we're going to be sitting in 10 years. We're going to be laughing, going, how many machines were they doing? Oh my God, it wasn't like we hadn't even started. How many countries are we in? How many people have this? How many mainstream facilities are carrying this now that we couldn't even talk to 10 years ago? And I will tell you this, if we do this in 10 years, we will look back today and just go, it was like we hadn't even started yet. I mean, we will not believe how small Enagic was compared to where it's going to be in 10 years from now. I promise you that. It'll be a mind-blowing conversation.
Man, do I ever look forward to that conversation.
I hope I'm around to have it, man.
Yeah, amen. God willing, we're all going to be here, and there's going to be a whole bunch more of us in the room that are going to be raising hands and things like that. And yeah, brother, I love you and Liz so much. I really appreciate everything you guys do, and I'm wishing you all the best. And you know, have a safe and fun New Year's Eve.
You know, you'll be doing these broadcasts, and you'll be looking down and seeing 683 people on instead of 9.
Nice.
I know. I love it. I'm so looking forward to that. This is such an incredible, life-changing thing. And, you know, change your water, change your life. It really and truly does change your life by surrounding you with positive and inspirational people and things and thoughts and all of that kind of stuff. It has literally changed the course and direction of my life. And I look forward to helping change the course and direction of many other people's lives as this next decade commences and or continues on.
Hey,
so,
everybody have a safe and happy New Year tonight, okay?
Yes.
You too.
And we will see you next year.
Woody-hoo!
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you, man.
Get out there, change the world, kids, starting with your own. We are the Kong family. We're here to change the world. And Sean, how are we doing that? How are we changing the world?
1 glass of hydrogen-rich, oxygen-saturated, electricity-inducing, 9.5 at a time. Thank you kindly.
Amen, brother. 1 lightning bolt in a box. 1 incredible, amazing guest like Mr. Dan Edland today. And 1 awesome, blessed family at a time. Kids, get out there, change the world, starting with your own. Do not forget your hugs. Do not forget your hugs, kids. Hooty-hoo! All right. Love you guys. Make it a great one. Happy New Year tonight. Be safe. Have fun. Bye for now. Love you, brother.
Happy New Year.
Woody-woo! Tara, thanks for being here.